soon after they took care of Kevin Byard, within minutes of the tampering period opening, we learned that the Bears got a new running back. And it wasn't Saquon Barkley. It wasn't any of the other big names like Josh Jacobs. No, instead, DeAndre Swift becomes the first running back off the board. Bears sign him, 3-year contract. It is very front loaded, so it could make him a cut candidate after 2 years, depending just how his tenure in Chicago goes. What do you think about DeAndre Swift? Because I've seen very polarizing opinions about this signing from people within Bears fandom as well as people outside kind of looking in.
So when it first broke, I tweeted out, feels like a overpay at a position that's not a major need. He'll be explosive. He's explosive. As long as he stays on the field, he's gonna get yards. He's gonna do well enough out there, but he's not a workhorse. So you paid the guy like he's a 3-down back, it feels like, when he's not typically a 3-down back. And the thing that is really made me hesitate some, we saw this happen a year ago with Miles Sanders leaving Philly. Yep. That really good offensive line goes and gets a nice contract from Carolina and isn't the same player because the line is not the same and the usage is not the same, and Jalen Hurts isn't there to take a defender away anymore. I'm just weary of signing an Eagles running back after that, because the same thing can happen here. Now, Swift was effective in Detroit before that. His issue was more about staying on the field and getting consistent usage than anything. So I am less worried because of that, because I know I have seen that productivity in Detroit. But I don't know. It feels like, so this is going to be, he's going to have to play a big role in the receiving game. It is really the way that this makes sense to me. You're paying him this much because he is a good receiver. It's not because he's a super explosive runner. He's gonna get big runs, but he doesn't have great home run speed. You know, you look at his relative athletics score, 7.56. He ran a 4.48, but that was almost all long speed. Like, his 10-yard dash was average, 20-yard split was average to slightly above average, and his 40-yard dash was above average. So it was those last 20 yards of the 40-yard dash. He needs that. He picks up speed as he goes. So he needs to be like home run speed to be able to hit that breakaway level. And a lot of times the NFL runs aren't like that. You know, you're cutting here, you're cutting there, and then you have to be able to hit top gear. So I don't think he's going to be the home run threat that like a Khalil Herbert is, because that's what Herbert had. You know, Herbert has that home run gear right away. So I think Herbert still has a real spot in this offense. It's just going to be a split back thing, which makes me question just the $8 million AAV, I think it was, for Swift. But you know what? At the end of the day, you added offensive talent, and that's something we've been begging for. Maybe this is Stockholm syndrome, but it feels nice to just add offensive talent at the same time.
It does. I agree with you. I think where the front office justifies this move is in the receiving game, because we've seen Khalil Herbert struggle in the receiving game over the years. He has improved, like there's been improvement, but is still probably what most would consider a below average receiving back in today's NFL. Like you said, his reason for being on the roster is that home run speed. He's got that ability and that one cut ability, especially in a zone scheme. We've seen it, how the Bears run it. I mean, more often than not, he's getting those big runs when it comes off of, inside outside zone. Like, that's when he's really picking up yards. So I agree with you, right? Like, especially when you look around the rest of the league and you see what some of the other guys got, right? What Saquon got and what some of these other guys got. You sit here and you go, well, it's a calculated risk that they're clearly taking. And there's something on paper that they like. I'm wondering if Ian Cunningham maybe had any insight, kind of inside information from the Eagles because of his connections still there, and maybe was like, hey, how did you guys feel about Swift? Do you think he's going to translate to, the scheme that we want to run with Shane Waldron? So hopefully there was a lot of research done, and inevitably there was, right? When you're dealing with millions of dollars, there has to be. But I agree with you. I think initially it was like, oh, cool. They added something. They were quick. They did something right away. As it's kind of marinated over the last few days, I think my excitement levels have dimmed a little bit. And I think all the reasons that you put together are perfect.